Hey, babe, where are you at? You're in the... Oh. Hey, sorry, I decided I just let myself in. I thought that was... Oh. What's going on in here? um... Yeah, I can I can see that you were trying to cook breakfast, or at least presumably that's what you were doing. Oh, babe, how did you know what? Never mind. You were trying to make breakfast for me because I cook for you all the time. Oh, baby, that's really sweet, but what were you trying to make exactly? Oh, I don't... What recipe were you reading? Because pancakes shouldn't... Uh-huh. What in the... No, honey, I'm not... This isn't your fault. I don't know what recipe this is, but this is not how you make pancakes. Tell you what. We've been together for a while now. Sorry. I hope that you understand how big of a deal this is to me. Would you like to learn how to make my family's biscuits and gravy? Yeah? Yeah, I mean, no, honey, of course. We've been together for a long time. I don't see our relationship ending. I mean, I'm going to call you my ex-girlfriend a couple times after we get married just because I think it'll be funny, but... So, surprisingly enough, I guess, my dad was the one that taught me this recipe. It's really simple. It's not hard at all. I'm not going to sit here and play it up like this is the, oh my God, hardest, most amazing recipe ever. But my dad always made it with love, so it tasted really good. So, first off, let's clean some of this up, and then we'll get to cooking. Okay, so first things first, we're going to preheat our oven to 450 degrees. And then we're going to get our dry ingredients. And we're going to combine them in a large bowl. So that's going to be 2 cups of flour, 4 teaspoons of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and then 3/4 teaspoon of salt. Then we're going to mix all of this together. And then we're going to get 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 tablespoons of shortening. So we're going to take this and we're going to rub it into the dry ingredients until it starts to kind of look like crumbs. You want to do this part as quickly as you can, though, because you don't want the butter and the shortening to start to melt. Okay, then once you've got those thoroughly mixed in, you're going to make a well here in the center, and we're going to pour in a cup of chilled buttermilk. Just like that. Okay, then we're going to stir this up just until the dough comes together. You don't want to over stir this. Like, the more you stir this up and the more you work it, the tougher the dough is going to get, so it's not going to make like really light and fluffy biscuits. Okay, and just as a heads up, you're going to want to put flour on your hands when you actually come to touch this stuff. This dough is very, very sticky. So, we're going to turn the dough onto a floured surface like so, and then going to dust the top with some flour, and then we're just going to take the dough and we're going to fold it over on top of itself. And you want to do that about 5 to 6 times. And then once that's done, you want to press it out until it's about an inch thick, and you want to get it kind of round. Just like that. I told you the dough's sticky, so don't worry, we'll get it all cleaned off. Okay, then we're going to get our metal 2-inch cookie cutter here. And you want to make sure you push just straight down. You want to make sure that you're not going at an angle at all. You push straight down. And then we're going to put it on our baking sheet over here. And we're going to set them up so that they're just touching each other. And once we've got all the circles cut out of the dough that we can, we're going to kind of reform it back into that original circle. And again, you want to work it as little as you possibly can, but unfortunately, the first batch is going to be the fluffiest. It's going to be the lightest. Every batch after that's going to get a little denser, but that's just kind of how it happens, you know. So then, once we are done, we will throw this in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. We want the biscuits to be tall, and we want them to be like that light gold on top. Okay. Now while those are baking, I'm going to get my sausage. I use pork sausage. And we're going to throw it in our skillet here and start cooking it. I usually cook it on medium-low heat. Just personally, I've noticed that tends to get more of the grease out of the sausage as opposed to cooking it on higher temperatures. And we're going to season our sausage. We're going to use seasoning salt and some pepper. As far as the cooking of the sausage and the gravy, this one is less measurement intensive just because it's mostly to taste. You know, baking is a very exact science. Cooking itself, not so much. A lot of it is just, if it tastes good to you, you did it right. So, okay. So you see all of our sausage is nice and browned. We want to make sure that it's cooked through. We don't want any pink or anything in there. Then we're going to add about 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of flour. On this one, you kind of want to eyeball it because it really depends on how greasy your sausage is. Really, so I know that this goes against traditional thought, but the greasier your sausage is, the better here, because we're making a roux. And we want to take the flour and we want to mix it up with the grease and the sausage, and then we want to let it cook a little bit. But you don't want to have too much flour because then it makes the gravy kind of doughy. And if you don't have enough flour, then some of that grease will escape and it'll like float to the top of your gravy, and it makes it look less nice. Like when you do it properly, you should have a nice uniform white coloration from the gravy with the little sausages in it, and it makes it look a little less appetizing if there's splotches of gravy floating up to the top. Okay, so we're going to use the 1/2 cup of flour, and we're going to sprinkle this over the entirety of the pan. You want to get it on the sausage, but you get it on the pan, get it on the grease directly, whatever. We're going to use our spatula and we're going to mix this all up as well as we can. You want the gravy to be completely soaked up, and you want the sausage to be covered. Then we're going to cook this just a little bit. Actually eating raw flour can make you sick. So you do just want to make sure that it's cooked. It doesn't take very long. So once we've kind of cooked the flour onto the sausage, we're going to go get some regular milk. And the way I was taught, for every 1/4 cup of flour you use, you want to use 2 cups of milk. So for this one, since we used a 1/2 cup of flour, we're going to use 4 cups of milk. You can add this in 2 cups at a time, all 4 cups. However, as long as your skillet's big enough to hold it all without running over, then you're fine. Once we add the milk in. Basically, all we want to do is keep an eye on it and make sure that we are stirring it consistently. We don't want it to burn after all. But as it heats up, it will thicken up. And once it's at the texture that you like, then it is done. Now, if your gravy is too thick, where it's like when you try to scoop it and dump it onto your plate, it won't like actually come off the spoon, you want to add a little bit more milk. If it's really, really runny, then you want to add a little bit more flour. Yep. And again, a lot of this is to taste. A lot of this is to just how you prefer it. Then I will usually throw on some more pepper and a little bit more salt. You can choose to do that, or you can choose to let your guests salt and pepper it themselves. Typically, I like to put some salt and pepper in there while it's still finishing cooking, just so that the flavor can kind of seep in a little bit better, as opposed to just sitting on top, I guess, is the best way I can think to describe it right now. But yeah, once the biscuits are done and this gravy is at the consistency that you want, we can eat. Thank you for cooking with me, baby. I really appreciate it. Well, I know you're not a bad cook, honey. You've made dinner and lunch and stuff plenty of times. I struggled for the longest time to make breakfast. I could do everything else, but no. There are already a few things that you've made that I would swear by being the best I've ever had. But, you know, I like to teach you new things just as much as I like for you to teach me new things. And plus, it's not often I get to brag about secret family recipes, even though this isn't much of a secret. Thank you again. I hope you enjoy it. I'm definitely going to. Here, let me make us both a plate.